Well, hello again. Welcome to another How May I Serve You Today? Ask Me Anything live stream. Cliff Ravenscraft here. It is Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. For those of you who are brand new to these live streams, this is not a place for me to share with you anything as far as a pre designed message. I'm here to be of support and encouragement only. In fact, I'll even put right here, why am I just sitting here? Actually, I'm not just sitting here right now, but I am waiting for you. I actually have a live Zoom call standing by right now for you if you want to join me here at cliffravenscraft.com/join. Right there's the URL, cliffravenscraft.com/join. You can be pulled right into a Zoom call, and you and I could be having a conversation within the next 30 seconds. Well, maybe 90 seconds, a little bit more likely. But anyway, I've been doing this for the last few months, and it is an opportunity to have access to me with no agenda. There's no sales funnel here, no marketing, no ulterior motive. I am simply here to make myself available for free to be of support and encouragement to anyone who comes across my path. Now, today, if I've done things successfully, we should have an entirely new platform that's receiving this. If you are watching me on Twitter, actually, what am I saying? Twitter, how shows you how old I am. If you are on the X platform and you are seeing me live right now, go ahead in the chat, just drop a note in there and let me know. I'd love to acknowledge that you are out there. Same is true for those of you watching on Facebook or YouTube. Feel free to leave a chat. Now, if you happen to be watching me on LinkedIn, you could type into the little comment box and I will see them after the live stream is finished. But unfortunately, those do not come into the live streaming software that I use here. But would be delighted to hear from any of you watching on any of the other platforms. So again, what I'm doing here, not a marketing tactic. It is not a sales funnel. I'm simply here to be of service. If you have known me for any amount of time, or even maybe, let's just say for the sake of argument, that perhaps you don't even know who I am. Maybe Facebook has just thrown me into your timeline. It says, hey, this guy who is connected to somebody that you're a friend with is live right now, and you have no idea who I am. Feel free to join me. cliffravenscraft.com/join. The last couple of live streams that I've done, I've had the honor of connecting with some folks, and maybe this is you. Somebody who's been following me for more than a decade, has never emailed me before, has never left a comment, has never done anything to engage me, but I've had 5 individuals who have been following me for well over a decade and saw me streaming on either YouTube or Facebook prior to today. And also one of them on LinkedIn, and decided to just go ahead and say, oh my gosh, I'll take this opportunity to have a chat with Cliff. That chat can be about any topic. It does not matter. And so with that, you just head over. They just came to cliffravenscraft.com/join. Now you can do this via your smartphone or your desktop. It will open up either way, the Zoom browser or the Zoom connection, and it'll pull you right into my Zoom call, and you and I will be engaging. By the way, I acknowledge JR Lawhorn out there. Happy Wednesday, he says. Happy Wednesday to you, JR. Always thrilled to see you out there in the live stream. Always a blessing, my friend. Always a blessing. So with that being said, I am tempted to just sit here in silence and wait for, let's just say, 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, see if anybody joins me today. I've been doing this Monday through Friday, and I've been doing it for several months now. And it has netted so many amazing conversations with so many amazing people. People that were not currently subscribed to my podcasts, who were not subscribed to my email list. And if it weren't for these live streams, I would not have known that they were out there. And so it's one of the reasons why I decided to do these impromptu live streams. Haven't even been emailing my audience lately to let them know. Haven't been showing up on social media ahead of time to say, hey, today I'm going to be live at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Instead, relying only on whatever platform's algorithms to let people know that I'm here. Now, I can tell you that my streaming numbers, I think, are a little bit inflated now that I've added the X platform, because one of the things that I did when I tested this, and by the way, I'm just going to continue to talk for just a moment. I really hope that somebody who is interested would join me here at cliffravenscraft.com/join. Let's have a conversation. This is an opportunity. We could just talk about anything. However, if you genuinely are interested in some support or encouragement, if I can actually serve you today in any way, I'm looking to serve you as powerfully and as deep as you desire to go. So, anyway, what I was getting at is I recognize that, wow, there's the potential that if I just paid for a premium subscription to X, then I would be able to stream once again on that platform. And so I went ahead and signed up for that yesterday after my live stream, confirmed that it works. But then one of the things that I have a working assumption, like for example, it says there are 40 people streaming, 41 people streaming now, and the number continues to go up, but the number does not go down. And so what that tells me, what I believe, the assumption that I'm actually going to make about this is the fact that people, are seeing the live stream. They might click through to see what I'm saying, and then they just move on. But Twitter is not reporting that the live number of people who are streaming. Because, for example, I would just say Twitter, the X platform. If you are on X and you are currently watching me now, do me a favor and there's a little chat in your X application down at the bottom, right below the live stream. It says chat. Just say, hi, Cliff. That's all I'm asking. And if there were, let me just see here. It says there are currently 39 people. If there were 39 people watching me on the X platform, at least one of you would actually say, hi, Cliff, in the chat. My guess is that most of those folks that it's reporting there have clicked on the live stream, checked it out for just a second, it registered it as a viewer, and then they move on, but the Twitter number does not go down. Whereas in my previous live streams with Facebook and or YouTube, the viewer count goes up and also retracts. It goes down when somebody drops off the live stream. So that's something that I learned about that. Now, JR, of course, he actually says, hi, Cliff, I was just trying this out. I started over on YouTube. So there's JR. He was over here on YouTube. He moved over to the X platform just to test and making sure it was working. So JR, yep, it is absolutely working. So we know that JR is out there. All right. With that being said, I'm going to hang out here for, let's see, I've already been on here for 8.5 minutes. And I am sitting here waiting for you, whoever you are. Now, if there is somebody out there watching this right now and you would love to have a conversation with me, feel free to join me. Let's see here. Let's see. JR says the delay is quite a bit shorter on the X platform. Well, that's good to hear. Yep. I think, each of these platforms have a pretty much a buffer from the live stream. But, and I guess you were probably saying that. The question is I'm wondering if you were, because I actually saw your comment come in a little bit earlier there, although, yeah, because I don't know how you would know what the delay is unless it has to do, anyway, it doesn't matter. Here's the situation. I've already been transmitting here for 9.5 minutes, and if nobody joins me within the next 5 minutes, I will go ahead and end this particular live stream. Again, the purpose of these Ask Me Anything sessions is not for me to do some sort of educational webinar thing to impress you with my vast amount of knowledge or experience and stuff like that. I do those things from time to time. I may do some more of that live stream stuff in the future, but this is a different kind of live stream. This is a live stream where I'm not here to impress. I'm not here to try to do anything other than to be of service in conversation. So, with that, I think I'm just going to literally just sit here in silence for just a few moments and wait to see if anybody joins me. And if nobody joins me, it's not a big deal. It's perfectly fine. Don't need anyone to join me, but if somebody does, it's amazing, and I would love to have the conversation with you. Now, I think somebody did just pull up in my Zoom. I just saw that it looks like Nehemiah is going to join us. So hold on one second here. Let me pull you up here and go there. Nehemiah, how can I be of
Hey,
service to you today?
yeah, it's cool, man. My name's Niyama.
Niyama,
So
I am so sorry.
yeah, no worries, no worries.
Niyama.
We're playing. Yeah, I saw that you were doing this. I thought it was fun, and so I wanted to come in and play with you. Um, so here goes where what kind of scope in terms of asking you anything? What kind of scope are we looking at here?
So the word is anything.
Okay, all right, cool.
That's the scope.
So all right, so let's play with this. Right now, I'm in a place where I'm looking uh to up my podcasting game. I'll bring it in the podcast world, right? So I'm looking up my podcasting game and move from being a podcaster to being a podcast network owner, right? So I'm looking to get somewhere around like 100 podcast episodes done every single week, right? Not by me, but with other people that are actually hosting it. And so I think I'm going to start off broad and see what comes in there with here. But from like your experience, I know you've been doing podcasting for years, what would you say would be like some of the things to look for in terms of getting a really great like podcast facilitator? I usually have more than one person come on the conversation at a time, but like I'm literally right now sending out invitations for people to come on to facilitate these conversations, and I'm curious from your standpoint like what I should be looking for and basically what I should be saying no to because I'm very open hearted overall.
Okay. Okay, so podcast network. The first question I have for you, you said I'm going to start out broad. What does that mean when you say I'm going to start out broad?
I'm not necessarily sure. Like the I have a platform. It's Outliers Edge. I've been doing it for years. Been bringing in people in for it. The main thing for me right now is I because I haven't brought other people to facilitate. My general sense here is like, let me start. Let me go messy. Let me get people in. Let me see how I manage that, and then from there understand some how to dial it in more. And I just like to be able to like skip some of the messiness phases of it, knowing that it's still going to be messy. Does that answer the question?
Oh, yes, it definitely answers the question. The question I have for you is what about topic? Have you or niche? Is there any
Yeah.
thought into
So
that?
yeah, so the people that I speak to, I call them outliers. They are like high performing, high achieving business owners and entrepreneurs, as well as leaders. And what really gets me is if I'm bold enough to go there, each of them is leading a movement in their own right. It's not just about creating cash for cash through their business, but it's really about impact and change in their world, whatever that happens to be, whether it's their team, whether it's through their clients, so on and so forth. So the the way that I'm looking at this when it comes to this is uh I have infinite ideas as to where it can go. And it's not like that's the different topics can be on business to leadership, or it could be on change makers versus leaders versus like entrepreneurs. Like I can see it slicing in many different ways. The bigger parts of it being like I'm willing to do more and mess up and find like, oh, okay, these are the the five topics that really stick. These are the five ones where I can bring people on, we can have a really good conversation, as opposed to trying to get it right off the bat, because I don't think I'd have enough data to be able to make an informed decision about that.
Okay. So what I hear is the niche is entrepreneurs, business owners, leaders who are very much involved in leading a movement of their own.
Yeah, yeah. And like they have their own platform. Like Cliff, you like with what you're doing right now for me would be like I would say yes, you're like it's a part of this, right? I think it's different than like, okay, I am selling a widget or I'm selling a like, phone case covers. It's like we're here to uplift people. They're doing they have maybe their own way of looking at it, but they have their way of doing it. And then when it comes to the leader side of things, some of them are and this is part of what will come through the element of increased niching down and such. But my overall component is working with the people who are different than others, who are shaping our world differently. And I think like I have found it to be really beneficial to not go and get like a whole bunch of entrepreneurs in the room only, because then they only come up with entrepreneurial thinking, as opposed to getting the whole ecosystem of change makers in the room and being able to facilitate from that perspective. Right now, my business is focused on like coaches, consultants, people with online businesses, so on and so forth. But the real pull for me is to see like, hey, what happens when we actually create this outlier um, community and then allow for the extra synergies to take place.
Excellent. All right. So the original question is how can I help you avoid some of the messiness based upon what I have seen or witnessed or experienced with networks of in my own past?
Yeah, and I would almost say like if I can take it from avoiding messiness to creating greatness, I think that there is a distinction between
Oh yeah.
avoiding negative versus creating positive. I would like to sit with you in the creative positive, Cole.
Well, there's been a lot of experience that I've had with various different networks over the years, and the first question I would have for you is to help you experience greatness in having a podcast network. You need to have a very clear answer to this question. And it's a question you will get from all of the potential folks who you may invite to join your network.
Okay.
What's in it for them?
Okay, I love this. Um, Two things that are coming up for me on this one. One of them is cash the audience, but like I think the real thing right now here, Cliff, is that I'm actually looking to build a network for me. So like there will be a time where I invite other people on to bring their podcasts in, and normally I know that there's like monetization of ads and sponsorships and like things like that, and you get listeners, and we have this whole ecosystem going there. But to be honest, I'm like I'll just do it for me, and I'll love to have 10 different podcasts, 50 different podcasts, all on my own network, uh, sourced by my own hosts, sourced by like with my own topics, so on and so forth, as opposed to going out and finding other people to do it. Because I have good monetization options. So I'm like, I
Okay.
might as well just do it for me.
So is it safe to say, and I'm just going to tell you what I just think I heard, but I would
Yeah.
love for you to dispel any misunderstanding that I have.
Yeah.
What is it? Because the questions would still be the same. So
Yeah.
you're not taking existing podcasters and inviting them to be a part of your network. You're looking to actually expand your own network of podcasts, which are your podcasts, but inviting somebody else to host those shows. Which what I
Yes.
think I'm hearing, and by the way, the question is still the same: what's in it for
Yeah.
them?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so it's still the same question. What's
I love
what's
it.
in it
Yeah.
for them? And it sounds to me like what I hear you saying is that I'm going to pay them to host my show.
Right now, yeah, I think like that's level one is I'm gonna pay them to host my show. Um, and that's where I think I get the chance to start getting some kind of feedback to see what are some of the I believe in total rewards. So what are the intangibles? What are some of the other things that come along with it in terms of uh, yeah, I got to see what's important to them. Like, is it clout? Is it the relationship? Should I be like organizing things with people? Is it, yeah, like there's some element of this where I'm like, at the very least, because I've seen other people do like have other people host for like on their show from their own community. They've got like, and when I've talked to them about it, the people who are hosting, they're like, you got to make sure you answer what's in it for me. And generally speaking, it's like, if I'm going to take the time to do this, am I going to at least going to get paid or am I going to get clients from it? One or the other, generally
What?
with the people I've been talking to.
Yeah, those are the two usually the biggest things. There are others though, and
Yep.
so I'll share with you real quickly my own story. I had the Generally Speaking production network
Mm.
for many years, and when I brought in other shows, I never actually brought somebody in to host a show on their own without me. So I actually my way of doing this was I had a show called Social Media Serenity back in the day, and I brought on a guy named Eric Fisher. And Eric Fisher was a listener from one of my entertainment podcasts, the Lost podcast. And he was such a consistent source of feedback to that show. And then we used to do lots of live content, and these people would show up live and participate, and we'd have these interactions. And I developed a close relationship with Eric Fisher, and we both were very much interested in all things social media. This is back in the days when Twitter just started. And this is when, I don't know if you even remember a thing called Plurk and all these other things. We were exploring every little avenue of social media. And the question that we were always asking ourselves is, where's the line between this of being of service to us or a distraction to us? And so it's finding serenity in the midst of use in an effective and powerful use of social media. So the podcast was going to be called Social Media Serenity. So that was Eric Fisher. I actually created a podcast called Help, I Got a Mac. This is because until 2008, I was a Windows user going all the way back to, the DOS basic, MS-DOS. And then eventually I got convinced to purchase my very first Mac computer. And it was like night and day different. And I was experiencing all sorts of problems with trying to figure out how to do this. And I'm like, help, can somebody help me? And I think it was like the first 7 or 8 or 9 episodes were me just trashing the Apple platform. It's like, this is terrible. And eventually somebody else, again, his name was Chris Biding. He came in and says, Cliff, I've been introduced to your podcast. I think I could answer all of your questions. I'd love to jump on a call and be of service to you. It turns out that he actually worked as an Apple genius in an Apple store. And he, sure enough, was able to help me answer all of my questions because it was right brain / left brain kind of thinking about computing. Turns out I actually fell in love with the Mac platform. Haven't used a Windows computer since. I deleted all of those original episodes where I was complaining and relaunched episode number 1, brand new from scratch. And for probably well over 100 episodes, Chris Biding was my co-host on Help, I Got a Mac, where we actually helped answer people's questions about switching to the Mac platform. And then I had a guy who I met through he was another listener. And he helped me get connected with one of my somebody who became a mentor in my life, Dan Miller, author of the book 48 Days to the Work You Love. And as we started to talk and I got to know more about him, I found out that we both had a passion for learning all of these little nuanced apps that would help us do our online businesses more effectively. So we did a podcast together. I invited him to be my co-host for a show called Business Tech Weekly. Yeah. So I've had all of these other shows that I did, but I didn't want to do all of the research. So my thing is, Eric, you go out and research all the latest news related to social media. Chris Biding, you go out and research everything you can find every week on the Mac platform and stuff like that, all of the latest news and tools and tips. Then over here with Andy Traub, you go out and research all the new business tech tools and stuff like this. You do all of the research. Every week we'll come and we will have a conversation. And it's like, and that's what it was doing. Interestingly enough, didn't pay any of them anything. Never once did they ask. I actually asked them. I said, listen, I want you to understand this is something that I am doing as a way of generating income for my family. And right now, we're not profitable enough to where even it makes sense. I'm not even getting a high enough return on investment to really, pay back myself, let alone share the revenue with anyone else. But I have a question for you. Are you interested in doing this for the love of the content? Number 2, to grow your impact and influence in this area, and to become known as a thought leader in this particular niche. Ironically, all 3 of those guys that I just mentioned today, today, actually, their entire career, their professional life has been shaped by their being a co-host on one of my shows. So I just wanted to share with you that there's more that people can get out of this than, I have to be paid or I need to get clients. Neither one of them, none of them got clients from this. None of them got paid by me, but they all today will tell you that their professional career that they experience today all stems back to their being a co-host on a show with me. So just wanted to throw that to you. Let me just pause there and ask you what's coming up, because I can see the look on your face that's just something's happening.
Yeah, so there's multiple things going on, multiple things simultaneously. One, I'm glad I came on here. I saw a notification. I was like, I need to just check it, you know. So I'm very glad this is already incredibly beneficial. Um, Two, it's helping me see a few different options. Like what's going through my head, Cliff, right now is the question I brought up in here, right? The element of, compensation being far more, the reward being far more than monetary compensation, the benefits of that, my ability to deliver on that, on the intangibles in that regard. I'm like, oh, I can really deliver on that. Like that's easy. And really getting into like the just even just small things like I know a lot of people who love to like podcasts, but as soon as it gets to all the editing and finding the guests and all that stuff, they're like, I'm out. I'm like, well, you could do the podcast and I'll take care of getting the guests and taking care of everything afterwards. I just want to be able to democratize and have more people on it. And I physically can't do that, you
Yeah.
know? And so there's something in there where I'm like, oh, it's a very different invitation. And I'm good with paying, similar to you. But I think what's changed is that it's brought mission first, impact first, leading with that. And making sure that like, hey, we're also going to make sure that like why not make money from this? Like to your point, like there's something in it that I think also challenges me to make this into a profitable endeavor by putting my skin in the game that way. But that is one thing that like based on the question I gave you, I feel like I feel like where I would have gone off would have been to get like mercenary facilitators, and it actually, as you're talking, like it became way more important to me to have people love what they're doing, love meeting people, love facilitating these, be naturally curious, than the dollar amount, which I'm still willing to give and I'm excited to give because I'm like, oh, I have to become a better entrepreneur in order to be able to do that. And I think I just like that story more, where it's like you have something unique. I value that, and I'm going to show you. So that's my first response. Do you mind if I share with you all the things that happened after the question I asked you was answered?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. After that, what ended up happening was I'm like, oh, that's right. Like Cliff's in the game of podcasting. All right. And I think more than I want to, it's so funny. It's like I tell people they're like, oh, I'm not a podcaster like you. I'm like, I'm not a podcaster. I'm a business owner who has podcasts. Like that's like my default response to it. But I could hear in how you leverage podcasts, not just from the profitability side of things, the business side of it, but it's like if you have an interest or an inkling, you can like spin up a podcast around it and go. And I think that like a part of me is like, oh, that'd be really fun to like have fun with this again.
Oh yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? That's like that really came to me. I made a recent commitment to be podcasting until I'm 100. So I'm like, okay, I want this. I want to get into this. And there's something that you have that I was like, this game is so much bigger than I don't know. I just feel like being in space with you right now is allowing me to be like, what if like I really did dedicate myself to this medium?
Well, if one were going to create a network of podcasts, I would recommend that one absolutely be all in with a passion and love for the medium of podcasts.
Mm. Let that hit. What I know is that I have a passion and love for conversations and like its transformational power. Like if like my change making, I believe that my vehicle of change is conversation. I believe strongly in the power of a podcast, as in the fact that it's so accessible and available, and like anyone can start and anyone can listen. Um, it's an interesting thing because I'm not like in love with like I don't listen to other podcasts. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I did. I started out in 2013. You know, that's when I first heard about you, Cliff. You've been on my radar for 12 years now, you know. And so the there's something in that realm where it's like, oh, I'm not fully committed to podcasting overall, but then I see you and I did like just being in this conversation, I'm like, there's something to this that goes beyond what there's a place to step into this that is like 3 or 5 levels higher than what I'm actually imagining.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exact I'm thrilled that you're picking up on that because for me, ironically, I don't know if you are quite aware of how deep I am. You've been following for about 13 years, I hear you saying. Are you
Mhm.
aware that I have over 55 podcast shows and over 4,800 episodes with my voice out there with an average of more than 1 hour per episode?
No, I was not aware.
And are you aware that of the more than 55 podcast shows I've ever done, only two have been monetized?
Did not know that. No.
Yeah.
Mm.
See, I came into this from the world of doing it as a hobby. And I
Mm.
did go and turn it into a full time career. And I did go and create a network because I thought that creating a network was going to be how I was going to be able to fund what podcasting was making possible in my life. Hold on 1 second. All right. The reason why I podcast is because when I was doing the television show Lost, I started getting handwritten letters from people around the world. Three of these letters are letters explaining why someone chose not to commit suicide because of something they heard me say in a podcast. These are some of the most important printed out emails that I've had. These are the postcards and thank you notes, handwritten from all over the globe, from people that have said, your content has absolutely, hands down, changed the entire trajectory of my whole life. And so you're looking at a guy who, when he was 18 years old, had no other desire than to be of service in a ministry capacity to other people for the rest of his life. For the longest time, I thought I would be a full time pastor of a church one day until I discovered that, you know, that I was able there was a 12-year period of time where I was an insurance agent in a family run insurance agency owned by my mom and dad. And I recognized I actually have more of an ability to be of service and support and encouragement in a ministry capacity as an insurance agent than I actually would as a head pastor of a church.
Mm.
And so I had dropped the dream of being a pastor, even though I actually was an associate pastor for 10 years of my life, while simultaneously for 12 years being an insurance agent. But never with the concept I'm ever going to leave insurance because this is incredibly profitable. But I'm also sitting here, I'm oftentimes one of the first people somebody calls after their daughter was just killed in a car accident. Somebody's house just burned to the ground. Tornado just wiped out their home. I've just sold a life insurance policy 2.5 years to a spouse whose husband just died. And if it wasn't for what I was, I mean, I was literally being of the greatest support and encouragement to people in the crisis moments of their lives. And the conversations I was having is like, this is my ministry in the world. I was convinced of that until December 2005. I started podcasting about the television show Lost with my wife as a hobby. And I'm actually sitting, I'm incredibly well paid as an insurance agent, incredibly successful, and I need no money from this hobby that I'm doing. But out of nowhere, I publish a podcast about Lost, and more than 60,000 people are subscribing to this within just a couple of months.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, people are saying, Cliff, because of something you said in the podcast, can I ask you this question about this little line that you dropped in the middle there? What did you mean when you said this? And I'm sitting here having email conversations with 100, 200 people seemingly on a weekly basis.
Mm.
And I started launching other podcasts to answer the most common questions that were coming up that doesn't make sense for me to do in an entertainment podcast about a television show. And so I created a podcast it was eventually called Pursuing a Balanced Life. I created a podcast called About the Church, which became Encouraging Others Through Christ. I created a podcast about business technology, social media serenity, all these different things. All of this branched out. And eventually I asked myself this question: what would life be like if I could do this for a living, like for income, instead of selling insurance? Now, this was not podcasting. This is what was leading to all of this.
Yep.
And I'm like, and so my earliest idea was, generally speaking, production network. I'm going to get paid just to sit behind a podcast and microphone with a bunch of co-hosts and lots of different advertisers. And I had sponsors, I had some things and stuff like that. But eventually, for me, people were more willing to pay for me to teach them how to launch a podcast as the podcast answer man than I was earning from all of the content. And so eventually I was earning so much money here that I actually shut down all of my stream of income on all of my other podcasts and gave it all away for free with no ads. And I did that because I didn't want to burden anyone with any barrier. So I actually had a thing where you could pay $10 a month for all of this bonus content. And some of my best stuff was in this only available to people who pay category. And I'm over here on Podcast Answer My side. After about 3 to 5 years, I'm making so much money over here. And yet I'm very much aware that some of these people paying $10 a month are struggling to put food on the table. And I'm like, I'm just going to give this all away for free. And so all I'm sharing is that I eventually decided actually generating income from producing podcast content is no longer of any interest to me whatsoever. And instead, what I will do is I'll find a way to use my skills, talents, gifts, and abilities to be of productive, valuable service to paid clients. And I happen to be a guy who has a business. My business is coaching, education, workshops, speaking, paid mastermind groups, which I don't currently have going right now. But all of that, it's just, I go out and create content about anything and everything without expecting a single penny in return from the actual production of the podcast itself. But knowing that I'm reaching all of these various different people around the world, and as they get to know me and who I am and what I do in the world, a very small percentage of them is all I need to become a paid client with any of my products and services. All right, what comes up for you as I share all of that?
Okay. Firstly, I'm just really grateful. I'm just like, I'm so glad I clicked yes. Like that was it. Well, no, two steps. One, I'm glad I clicked yes. And then two, I'm glad I saw the link and I joined the link and so on and so forth. Cause I think there was something like, there's one thing to watch passively, but it's another thing to be in the conversation. And at this point in my life, I recognized when life was headed in one direction and either the direction changed or I got accelerated. I was like, oh, I accidentally stepped onto a train platform and into the train, and now I've been moved on. So this feels like one of those kind of accelerant conversations. So I'm very grateful for it. That's one. Two, there is an internal feeling of, okay, hidden in everything you're saying, not so hidden, but hidden. It's like years, decades of stuff. We're having this conversation right now in 2025. He's like, you started the first podcast in 2005, right? So there's a component of me that wants to breathe. I haven't been able to breathe yet, but wants to breathe and be like, cool. Like wherever we are right now, imagine 20 years from now, right? What's the rush if we know we're going to get there? So I think that there's some component of that's playing and the I find like most of the questions of what should I do, all those things start to dissipate once I give myself time. And so just looking at this, I'm like, all right, 2 decades from now, we're like, no matter, we're going to be good. And then the other component of having a business model that works for me that may not be what other people are looking for or like imagine. Let me put it that way. Not what they're looking for, to imagine, right? So you're like, I have 55 podcasts. Like they all add they in some way, shape, or form, they you're walking, you're talking, you're like you're the podcast person, like you're still doing it, right? But you're able to give you're able to give copiously, knowing that some of that is going to come back to you with some person that's listening to it that listened for fun and then said, I would love to do this for myself. I'm inspired, I'm sparked, I'd love to go do this. And they come join you through the actual channel that you're monetizing on or you're creating clients through. And that actually feels really lovely to me because I think what happened there was that it was actually more the idea for more came on. Like Cliff, it's really great talking to you because you're like 55. Like I'm like, most people I talk to, I'm like, hey, I'm releasing 7 days a week. I'm releasing 3 days a week. And they're like, ooh, that's a lot. And I had a conversation with someone who was like, come on, man, step up your game. We're releasing through our network here like 70 episodes a week. And I was like, oh, finally, like this is not a lot. It might seem a lot to an individual who's doing it on the side for a hobby, but like in the grand scheme of people who are committed or organizations that are committed, this is not a lot. And so talking to you, Cliff, it's like it's not that I'm going to just do more for the sake of more, but I think that I think I feel a little bit more room to experiment, to make mistakes, find uh to find something that I'm interested in and to use a podcast and there's I don't think I've given myself the room to like have a hobby or just to play, in a very long time. And that's what's coming up. And it's like it's podcast and community. Those are the two things. It's like conversations and community. And I'm like, oh, well, like the same idea would apply if I wanted to create a community around, let's use your talk about Lost right now. I'm watching Love is Blind, like I'm watching these things in isolation, but I love my main thing is I got to bring people together. As long as I'm bringing people together, then I'm good. And there's something in the not having to have the whole entire business plan laid out from step A through step Z point six, you know, that feels freeing, feels aligned. And everything you're saying, I'm like, I know what to do with this. This is not just inspiring. It's like, oh, okay, this is the plan. This is what you wanted to do to some extent, but you hadn't really allowed yourself to say like, this is all right. Like, sure, I have a ton of podcasts. Yes, we have a lot of different communities. That's awesome. But like, what I do is this work. And so I think it's really lovely talking to you because it's even that element of like I'm not a podcaster, right? Doesn't like I'm hearing you're like, look, I have my places of making money. I podcast. I love doing it. It's great. Like, but I didn't feel like you were limited in any way.
Yeah.
I felt the complete opposite of you're like, I'm going to use this platform of podcasting because yes, but yeah, I got a lot from it. I got a lot from it, but it's like for me, it's really about kicking down the walls that I've put up and expanding into like, hey, look, wait, this is also possible. And like, let's just give it time.
Yeah. And one of the things that I picked up on, you said it a number of times in this conversation, is being willing to get it wrong. To you don't have to get it right out of the thing. We talked about, striving or not striving. I don't. You did not use the word striving, but creating greatness or whatever instead of avoiding the messiness. But one of the things that I will tell you is one of the things that has allowed me to experience the freedom that I think that you're sensing is that I've never attempted to avoid any messiness. And let me just share with you, in my podcasting journey over 20 years, there has been a lot of messiness. A lot of messiness. But I've never allowed anything to keep me down. It's just I'm in this. I'm in it for the long haul. And for me, it's not necessarily it's not a love for podcasting. it goes to something you said earlier. It goes to the ability to share conversations. Now, for me, a majority of my 4,800 plus episodes are solo hosted shows where I monologue for an hour.
That's legit.
But but I'm still involved in a conversation. And
Yeah.
what I mean by that is oftentimes those episodes are prompted by an email I've received or a conversation I just had or something I just witnessed. And then I begin to talk about it and I share what comes up for me. I may share some insights that I've gotten, how this has impacted me and stuff like that. And then at the end of the episode, if has any of this resonated with you, is there anything that comes up for you that this is an answer to a prayer you've been praying? I want to hear from you. Is there anything I've shared that you have questions about? Email me, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com. And then people email me. And then before you know it, more episodes are. And so it is about dialogue. And it's about just sharing. What am I learning? What am I exploring? What am I discovering? What are my big dreams that I'm going after? And sharing my successes. And I love sharing those. But my audience most loves when I actually have big dreams, big goals, big aspirations, and big plans that seemingly feel like they're bulletproof. This is absolutely going to work. There's no way Cliff could ever fail at this. But man, is it incredibly valuable for my audience when I come back 3 weeks later, 3 months later, or 3 years later and talk about how big of a massive failure that turned out to be and all the lessons I learned from it. The messy here's what I learned in the early days when I invited people to follow me on my journey as I left a lifetime as an employee to become a full-time self-employed business owner where I don't even know anything about creating an online business in 2008. I knew this. People are intrigued by following two things. They either love to actually watch a train wreck or they love a good success story. And I'm going to give them one or the other, but it's going to be an entertaining ride the entire way. And I've actually given them both. I've been
Yep.
both a train wreck and a success story all at one.
I think that's the part that's really cool. You know, it's living out loud, and yeah, you're coming at the time where you meet me at a time where I'm getting a little teary here, but like I've stepped out of thought leadership. There was a time where I was big on it, and I was like, I need to actually go and like create more, and now that I hear this, and I reckon there's just a lot going on through me right now where it's like, oh, okay, messy is the path. It's not about avoiding it. Like I think that's the thing. Like when I came and I said avoiding messiness, I think that like that was the part where it was like I'm trying to get it right, all that stuff there. Achieving greatness or going for greatness, like I know messiness isn't. That's even part of it. I'm like I can't tell you exactly what this is because I know it's gonna be messy. I'm like I don't need it to be dirty. Like it
Yep.
doesn't need to be like that bad, but like we could move it this way.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's something I want to tell you. There's a podcast network out there. I'm not very familiar with it other than the fact that one of the hosts of a podcast that I listen to every week has his own podcast network. I know that it's a significantly popular network. It's called The Incomparable. Have you ever heard of this?
Not.
And if I'm not mistaken, the best I can tell you just from context is that it is basically an entire network of people that's related around pop culture style stuff. But
Okay.
it's called the Incomparable Network, and it's run by, oh gosh, what's his name? It's Leo Laporte. There's Alex Lindsay. There's Andy Anako and Jason Snell. Jason Snell is his name. So
Okay.
Jason Snell is the leader of the Incomparable Network. That is a network, as far as I know, is profitable. It has a business model where it earns income, and it also has a network of shows where Jason Snell has shows on his network that are not his shows. So I feel led to share that with you so that you have another example to go and look at. one that has been around for many years, and one that's still around, and one that has an incredibly powerful, positive reputation.
I appreciate it.
So, and by the way, that's not the only podcast network out
Yeah.
there by any stretch of the imagination, but it
Yeah.
is one that I feel led to share with you here in this conversation. Um, yeah, I think that's what's coming up for me there.
Yeah.
Niyama, what else? What other question do you have? Is there anything else
Hmm.
that I can? As far as I'm concerned, just so you know, I'm here until 5 p.m. at least. So I still have another 39 minutes. I want to be respectful of your time. You don't need to
Yeah.
stay on just because you joined me. But I
Yeah.
want you to know you have unlimited access to me for at least 39 more minutes. Feel free to say, Cliff, I think I'm good. I'm done. I'm going to tap out. Or if you have anything else, where do you want to go in this conversation next if you want to continue?
Yeah, let me. I think I'm going to take the opportunity to dance in the moment. Do you mind giving me just a couple
Take,
seconds just to think through this?
there is no rush here, my friend.
So, so I'm playing through a couple different things. It's still along the same lines. I feel like in the creation of this, there is. hmm, this one's going to go a little bit more on like the deeper side of things. And this gets to a part of me feels like, oh, I've passed this, you know. Another part of me is like, this is the one that's going to keep sneaking up on me when I'm not expecting it, right? And so the getting it right, all those things, I think underneath all that is like this fear uh, of going all in and on two ends. One is like, what are others gonna think? And the other one is like, can I even handle this? Like how big is too big? And right now, what I'm feeling is this truly expansive energy. And so, like, if there was a question I was gonna bring in right now, it's not present in this current moment, but I think that like I am looking to. I think it's about like if I'm going to really put it, it's like it's an identity shift right here because I know like I can do these activities, but I'm still kind of thinking of myself as just like Niyama, you know? And I feel like there's some kind of identity shift that could be really beneficial to to make this to make what's being created not an action to get to, but a place that I'm coming from. Like it's just like it's like I don't know how to describe it. I'm like I'm in my office, but it doesn't feel like I'm like in my office. If that makes sense, you know. I don't know how to describe it, but I think there's some element of um, I feel like I'm amongst kindred people who also are playing big, but another part of me is like, but are you allowed to play big? I know you want to play big, but are you allowed to? It's a little bit, I'm going to play in the messy. That's where the question is right now. But I would like to be a little bit on the inside about this, since we talked about the outside side.
So, what I heard, Niyama, is this: I'm Niyama. That's what I heard you say.
Mm.
But until you revealed your own self perception, I never once thought I was speaking to just Niyama.
I get it. I get it. Okay.
See, until those words left your mouth,
Yeah.
I thought this entire time I've been talking to Niyama. I
Yeah.
mean, the Niyama. I mean, the
Mm.
man who is committed to communication, who understands the power of conversation, who has a dream of creating an entire network of podcasts where conversations can transform the lives of people around the planet, Niyama. That's who I was talking to.
Fair point. All right, cool. Back in the game. I get that. Thank you. This is what comes in. Yeah. Thank you.
So I want to share a quote with you. I was actually at the Onward Summit with my friend Ryan Quarrel.
Mhm.
And he brought in a bunch of speakers, including myself. But one of the other speakers, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I apologize to Ryan's friend that in my co-speaker at this conference, but he said this one phrase, and I've brought it up a number of times. It is worth memorizing. Are you ready?
I'm
The
listening. Yeah.
most the most important story you will ever hear is the one you tell yourself about yourself. The most important story you will ever hear is the story you tell yourself about yourself.
Yep.
What comes up for you as I share that? And that
That
I want to type into something else that you shared earlier.
All right, cool. Well, I think it's fun. I think I'm a bit annoyed, which is a good thing, right? If I'm not annoyed with you, I'm like, okay. The annoyed part comes in where I'm like, oh man, like I'm used to like having this as a problem. I'm used to this like level, like train of thought. And what's happening here is that, Cliff, in our conversation, there's a hidden invitation to just abandon it. You're like we could talk about it, but like just so you know, like I've been talking to the Niyama this entire time. So like it could show up, it may not, but like I don't think we need to go there. And what happens there is that there's a challenge, a confrontation of self, whereas if I am not this guy, if I'm not thinking these thoughts, then what thoughts like who am I? What thoughts come next? And so the annoyance part comes in. I'm like, oh man, like I'm gonna go find a new thing, or I'm gonna have to go do the thing. What like because I'm already being the thing in many different ways, and I think that like it's part of why I joined, right? It's this element of like there's not really a gap, but
Here's
I
what I
feel like it's not here.
think about this, Niyama. How many people do you think have come across my live streams who have, by the way, you are the sixth person. Let me just confirm something first before I tell you you're the sixth person that meets this criteria. Have you ever emailed me or left a comment on any of my content ever before today?
No, but I have met you in person somewhere.
Okay. Where
So
did we
that
meet? Do you
yes,
remember?
yeah, we met at a Rich Liffin experience a few years
Oh,
back.
yeah, in
Hmm.
San Diego. Okay.
Yep, yep, yep,
Okay,
yep,
cool. Well,
yep.
still, you're the sixth person who has known me, and I think you said for 13 years. So for
Yep.
more than a decade, you've been
Mhm.
following me, and yet here I am streaming live, and I show up in your news
Yep.
feed of one of the social
Yeah.
platforms. By the way, which platform was it? I'm curious.
This one's Facebook here
Okay.
that I
So,
found. Yeah.
thank you. Facebook is what brought you here today. But anyway, Facebook showed you that I was live. Do you
Yeah.
know how many people, and I'm talking about in the thousands, have
Mm.
seen me show up Monday through Friday every week for the last 3 months, who have wanted to go to cliffravenscraft.com/join, who have wanted to click that button, but would never dare do it because they genuinely give in to the fear of what would how would I be perceived.
Yeah, that's fair. I appreciate that.
You're one of the rare few who will actually come in and have a conversation and just like just open up, just be authentically you. And it's like this is super powerful. So I'd love to speak to this thing that you said. It's a layer deeper, and it's this thing that seems to come up, and it's that fear of how will I be perceived by others.
Yep. Let's go there. Let's go.
So let me just share with you this. Number one, you will be perceived by others exactly the way each individual perceives themselves and their own issues and hangups in the world, which
Mm.
means that anything anybody says about you is nothing more than a projection of their own perceptions of life. You have no ability to control how you are perceived by them because you have no ability to go shift and transform and change all of their trauma that they've experienced throughout their entire lifetime. But I want you to know this: if you reach an audience, you will reach an audience of people who have all collected a series of trauma throughout their life. And some of them have a habit of projecting onto others the issues they're unwilling to face within themselves. Therefore, the more people you serve, the more you will be judged publicly. But it still will have nothing to do with you and everything to do with what's going on in their internal psychological world.
So when I hear that, I think about you saying like I thought I was talking to the Niyama, right? And so what like I hear that and what came to me is I'm like, oh, that also works in like the positive elements too, right? And to be like in reflection of that, like what the things that are coming here is like one, that means that I got to be a place of unlocking, like being a mirror without being a mirror, right? Where people can see themselves by looking at me, and it's like they like that to me feels really good. It means I got to do my like be my gift out in the world, help them see themselves. Like I'm here to help people be seen, celebrated, and valued for who they are. And so like it's like by being out there and giving them a space for them to reflect and project, but also like it mirrors something back. That's one. And the second thing here is I'm like, oftentimes I'm like, oh, like how will I like will I find my peeps? Will my peeps really be there? And like it's the things that you just said right there. I'm like, oh, it's not just how Cliff sees me, it's how Cliff sees him, you know? And
Yeah.
like, and that's I'm like, that's the kind of space I want to be with. Those are the people I want to be playing with. The people who see themselves as like, hey, look, this is the game I'm playing. This is who I am. I am the Cliff, you are the Niyama. Like, let's go. Let's have some fun with this. Let's create together. So there's often a pull to make sure that I like, that I allow myself to go deep enough to make sure I'm not like, my basement is clean and I can build the right kind of foundation, for what's coming next. And what's lovely about this reflection right here is like, it's like I can build, I can go, I can grow. Like there will be some new things. There's some traumas that I still don't even know that I've experienced that will show up at some point. But like in terms of like green light for are you ready for the next level? Are you ready for this next thing? That part, like, and this is something that can't like intellectualize or even like chat GPT eyes or like it's just like I just have to have a conversation, a real conversation and get the experience of it. Like, oh, okay, I guess we're done trying to solve this problem. Like you're already ready, go.
Yeah.
I
And
appreciate it. Like, yeah.
by the way, the universe is designed in such a way that you never have to concern yourself with, am I ready for the next level?
Mm,
Because you'll never be presented with something that either number one you can't handle already, or that isn't intended to help you overcome your
mm,
current felt perceived limitation.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
You're
All
always
right.
you're always being magnetically drawn towards that next level. There's
That's
nothing
it.
you can do to avoid it. You can run from it, but your running from it in fear is a part of your journey towards the next level. You won't escape it. So you don't need to concern yourself too much about that. There's an Oprah Winfrey quote that I remember a long time ago, and I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it was something like she used to worry about people used to say to her, who do you think you are? And she goes, but one day I finally stopped listening to those people and I started showing up and say, this is who I am. Let that one sit for a second.
I, I I'm resonating with this one a lot because uh it's one of those things right now where I know that I'm on a mission. I know that I'm out there in alignment. I'm out in the world doing things. Um, but I often tell people, and this is why this is hitting me so much. I often tell people, I'm like, there will be a day when a book is written about the things that I've done, and then someone will be able to like decipher what it is that I did, and they'll create whatever linear like progression is, or like whatever techniques like that will come. But right now, that's not my work. My work is not to know that. My work is to be actually in creation here.
Yeah.
And I think that that's when I hear you say that, that's what's coming up for me here, where it's like, who do you think you are? I'm like, you know what? I don't even know. I think I'm going to find out after I see what I do and who I be. Right? You tell me
What
in the 50 years.
and even more than that, there's an invitation, should you choose to accept it,
Hmm.
to decide who you are and go out and be it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to tell you a story. Check this out. Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
That's not what I meant to do. Let's go back.
This
Hold on.
one yeah, I was like it was so funny. I came in. Can you see me?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
There we go.
No, I came in like that. Like I think like the last time I saw you, it was like this. So like I was
Yeah.
like, oh, he's like he's well. I was like, Cliff.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you this story. But before I do, I'm gonna download one more picture,
Yeah.
and because I'm gonna switch this picture out after I get to a certain part in the story.
Okay.
But my
And I have another quick question for
yeah, you
you.
go
It's
right
a
ahead with your
technical
question.
question,
Yeah, go right
but
ahead.
I like what you're using. Can you tell me a little bit about your tech platform for this? This is one of the coolest things I've seen. This is really fun.
Yeah, this is Ecamm Live, and I have a
Okay.
pro account. And
Yeah.
Ecamm Live actually allows me to just drag and drop stuff onto the screen, and it also allows me
Ah,
to host a Zoom call. And anybody who I could bring in like 6 different Zoom participants and drag and drop windows up here. So it's pretty
nice.
wild. All right, so I
Nice.
want to
All
tell you
right.
a
Thank you.
story. So for me, this goes into how will I be perceived by others. All right, this is what I want to share with you. So I want to share with you a story that I had, a dream that I had, where I was going to go speak in San Diego. I live on the East Coast side of things over here in Kentucky. And so I was going to travel to San Diego like I do every year to speak at the Social Media Marketing World Conference. And every year that I would go there, I'd add 2 extra days either on the beginning of my trip or the end of my trip so that I'd have a travel day to kind of chill, and then one full day of 8 hours from 9 to 5 at the San Diego Zoo. I just love the San Diego Zoo. And for year after year after year, I'd always listen to an audiobook while walking around for 8 hours. Well, in 2020, I had a dream. It was January 2020. I had this dream that I would have somebody who would decide to spend a day of mentoring with me at the San Diego Zoo for $5,000. So for $5,000, one person could actually walk side by side with me for 8 hours in the San Diego Zoo, and we would do one-on-one mentoring. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is a huge discount because normally I would charge $15,000 for 8 hours of mentoring with me here in my hometown. You'd have to travel here. Here, we're going to be doing it in the San Diego Zoo, and it's only a third of the cost, right? So this, in my mind, this is my dream. This is what I'm going to put out there. So I actually started talking about it in my podcast. I wrote an email or two about it and all this other stuff. And one of the greatest fears, and by the way, I'm reading from my notes because I've actually told this story so many times. One of the greatest fears that many people have is how they will be perceived by others. Here are 3 questions that might come up for somebody when they're thinking about asking somebody to pay them, pay me $5,000 and you can walk by my side at the San Diego Zoo for 8 hours. So here are some questions. What will people think of me if I were to ask for this much money? People will think that I only do what I do for the money. Or people will think that I'm taking advantage of others. All right. And then I could go on and on with the fears of how people will be perceived. Now, the next thing from my notes here, it says, you will often be criticized and judged by others. I'm happy to report that I'm a fully recovered former people pleaser. I chose to learn the hard way that no matter how much effort I put in, I will never be able to make everyone love me. I have discovered that ... and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullet points. I have discovered that How I am perceived by another person is 100% controlled by that other person's model of the world. It is their beliefs about life and how it ought to be that determines their reaction to the things that I do or say. I have discovered that another person's judgment about what I'm doing or saying is a reflection of that person's beliefs and values, and it is not a reflection of who I am as a person. I have discovered that I can't put off the living of my own dreams just so that other people will not feel inadequate around me. I have discovered that there is no value in shrinking back from creating the life I feel called to create. And I have discovered that moving forward with my own dreams, in spite of the potential criticism and judgment, might just encourage and inspire others that they have the power to turn their dreams into reality, freeing them from the fear of how they might be perceived by others. And yes, I was judged publicly for speaking about my dream. Now, I'm not going to pull this up on screen because it'd be too small for anybody to read, but I'm going to tell you that I'm looking at a 1-star rating in Apple Podcasts. And the title of the review, A Ride into Ego and Overpricing. Here is that written review. Cliff used to be so informative and helpful on a journey to establish a podcast, but he threw that entire business model out the window in order to copy the Tony Robbins business model. I would call him the poor man's Tony Robbins, but when he wants $5,000 to hang out with him in San Diego for 8 hours or $15,000 to work one-on-one in his home in Kentucky, you quickly get the feeling that Cliff has fallen into a self-absorption fueled by an ego that few will rival. Now, that comment has nothing to do with me, has everything to do with this person's belief about money, value, and all sorts of other baggage. All right. Anyway, someone else had a dream. So I got a message in my email and it says this: Cliff, every time I hear you talk about your one day coming up in San Diego, I want to find a way to be there. It makes no sense at all on one hand, and every bit of sense when I listen to my heart and intuition. Can we talk, be in touch, or correspond about this? We met at the Tribe conference and had dinner afterwards with a group of people. I had no idea who you were until I heard you speak at that event, and I've been an avid follower since then. Looking forward to connecting, Lee. We had a conversation. Immediately after that conversation, there was $5,000 deposited into my bank account. And then there was this. Hold on one second. There it is. Do you see it? That's me and Lee in San Diego. And we spent 8 hours together. And yes, I had $5,000 more in my bank account. Dream fulfilled. Now, here's the interesting thing. When I thought about this, I thought, I'm just the only people who would ever think about taking me up on this offer would be somebody who either lives in San Diego or somebody who's already going to be in San Diego because they're also attending this event that I'm speaking at. Lee, who you just saw a photo of, does not live in California. She was not attending this event. She owns a farm in North Carolina, paid $5,000, and flew all the way to San Diego for this 8-hour day. Do you want to know why? Because I said, this is who I am.
It's it's hitting me in really good ways. Uh, so I'll tell you what's happening inside of me right now. Uh, I think that the one of the bigger things is like just being back out there with people and like through the podcast, like right now my podcast, what I'm doing, uh, I'm I'm hosting panels like roundtables with people. All right. So we have multiple people on there. But as we're talking, I'm like, it's time for me to just like hit record again and put my stuff out there and like because there's another way there's a connection that people want to make with me or that like that or that I'm not giving people a chance to create that connection on this real bit. And that to me, like it's like that can really easily come out of this. One. Two, make stuff up. I just really love that. Where it's like, I'm going anyway. Like it would be better with people, and I would enjoy doing it this way. And this is like this is what it would like if someone wants in. This is what it's gonna be. It's it's an amazing experience. Um, and I think that the last part of me is like, stop trying to be reasonable. You know, like it was a deal, Cliff. Like 5K for a day is like
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
it.
not
Let me
not
tell
like
you,
it's a
that
good
was
deal.
it was a grueling day too. I mean, because for
Yeah.
me, I'm an active listener, and so I'm
Yeah.
literally like I'm involved in performing and on. I mean, I have
Yeah.
90-minute one-on-one conversations, and after I'm finished with I'm an introvert, so my energy is I get my energy being by myself. Which, by the way, why did Cliff normally go to the San Diego Zoo for 8 hours? To either prepare myself for all of the energy necessary for the week at this event, or it's my downtime and my recharge. And so yes,
Yeah.
you're right. It was a lot, but it was enjoyable. But
Yeah.
but you're right. It was a deal.
I think that the like this is the game. This is why I'm part of the reason why I'm so happy I'm here. Because I think what's happening, like you said, like the universe puts things in front of you, so on and so forth, right? I think that there's a version of me for the last few years that has been more behind the scenes, more shining my light on other people, which I want to continue doing. And I want to
Mhm.
keep finding different mechanisms to allow that to keep going on. But I think that there's also another part of me that is being called back into leadership, and it's not about the spotlight, but it's into leadership. I think that there's an element here where like, and let me make sure I'm being specific enough because I do believe in leading from behind.
Mhm.
Like I don't there's not only the front facing version of it all. Um, but I do think that I think it's like it's adding to it. It's adding to it. Like what's been going on in the back of my mind here has been like the thing that I haven't spoken is like I'm like it all comes down to the more element of it where I'm like, oh, like the only reason I'm here is because Cliff decided to make this possible. Same way that like the only reason Lee was there is because you decided to make it possible. It
Yep.
wasn't it wasn't right for everyone else out there, but for that person, it was, you
Yeah.
know? Um, and I think that this is the you're what's happening right now is I feel like my vision of self is starting to re-expand again. And my desire of that vision of self. I see the end outcome, but I'm like, oh, I could do some live. I could do like I'm seeing these things, and I think the distinction that I'm not saying that I want to say is in talking to you, what I also feel is extreme alignment. The motivation behind it feels nice to me, right? And I will compare that to like I run an online business. I should have a book. I should have a this. I should like do my mastermind. I should like, and it's for the sake of like this is what people do, as opposed to what the sense I get with you, Cliff. It's like I'm doing this. And I've created some mechanisms underneath to make sure that I can continue doing this and to be profitable and there's great things and so on and so forth. But I'm doing this. I think like coming from that side of things first, like it's the motivation that I've been trying to tap back into, not the motivation to go do it, but the motivation of who I am being as it is getting done. Like I'm like, oh, if we can do it this way, yeah, like come on, let's just keep going. Like why would we stop?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Uh,
gift, man. It's a gift. I appreciate this conversation. It's really like it's hitting me in a big way. And you also put in something here around a fully recovered people pleaser. I was like, you can do that? 'Cause I'm still calling myself a recovering people pleaser. So I'm like,
yeah.
oh, just to know that there's an end to this here. Like that's also a game changing insight right there.
Yeah. As soon as I began to really understand people's psyche and trauma and the need to go through a healing process and the spiritual journey and stuff like that is like, yeah, my desire to please other people is, it doesn't, there's no existence of it. There's nothing I can do to please anyone. If the all I can do is resonate at my frequency of being, my level of consciousness, and either people will be in resonance with that or dissonance with that. And
Hmm.
so those who are resonant with it will actually be pleased in their interactions with me. And they're same circumstances, there are people who will come across me and they will be dissonant and they will be displeased with me. There is nothing about me that has changed between one person and the other. It has everything to do with their frequency of experience, their level of consciousness. And I can't change their level of consciousness. I can only be mine. Now, if I want to, could I actually do something that appears to please others? Yes, I could take my level of consciousness and I could shrink down to their level of consciousness. And as long as I play by their fears, you know what? You're right. Who was I? I was so wrong. It was so arrogant of me. I shouldn't be asking this much. You know what? People should be allowed to just hang out with me for free. Who was I? Well, that was such an idiotic thing. And then all of a sudden, now they're quote unquote happy with me. But the reality is, did I please them? No. All I did was actually come down and vibrate frequency at their level. That's all I did. But that's not who I am. That's actually me changing who I am to be in alignment with their desires. And that's not what I'm here to do anymore. And so I gave up that gig altogether.
Hmm. This
By
was
the
painful. By the way, I'm not gonna lie. That one was painful. Like I was with it, and I was like, and you said it, and I could see this moment in 2020 when I was like on top of my game. We're getting the lockdowns, COVID's coming in here, and I'm like, and yeah, I'm talking to my coach, they're like, it's our Super Bowl, let's go. And I'm talking to people, and they're like, you don't. I was living in Singapore at the time. They're like, you don't get what it's like here, so on and so forth. And I asked myself, I'm like, am I missing something? Like I get it, but like, am I like, what's going on? Why, like, I literally asked myself, Cliff, this is what I don't want to say out loud, but like, what, I'm like, am I human? Like, am I missing? Like, there's something major going on apparently, and I'm like, vibe, like in this conversation, vibing higher than what's going on. And so the part that like that sucked about what you said right there is that like I in all of my maturity came by and said, all right, I really want to be with you. I want to support you. So let me reduce my frequency. I stopped meditating. I stopped doing all these things. And then I'm like, tell me about your fears. Let me live in the fears with you. Let me just sit there with you in this so that I can meet you, because and then hopefully I can get you back up. Turns out, and like what you're experiencing right now, I think is like the result of that decision,
mm-hmm.
which is it took me 5 years to get back to the place where my energy was like it's like now able to even approach where I was beforehand. Because and what I didn't realize is that I didn't classify it as people pleasing. That's the part that it's the gut punch on it. That's the part that's like, oh, I don't want to hear it that way. But I love it because it's like everything I stand for is how can you just be more you in the world,
Yeah.
And when you frame it in that way, it's like, oh, I get it. Like I left the BB path to try and be with others, but that wasn't my path. That
Yeah.
wasn't my path. I took it and I've been trying to find my way back up because I remember it. I'm like, I used to do that. And oh yeah, what was that like? And it's really it makes it makes this journey make a more sense and be like, let me not protect, but honor like the vibes that I have and play with that like even more fully.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just I'm grateful, but at the same time, oh, like I shudder at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, Niyama, this right here, this part of the conversation is why I no longer spend any of my time promoting myself as someone who can answer your questions related to podcasting anymore.
Mhm.
because these are the real conversations.
Yeah.
By the way, real quickly, just want to give a shout out to David Madow. He's out there. He says unbelievably awesome story about the San Diego Zoo. And I think he, for some reason, he moved over to he went from Facebook over to YouTube, and then he's like, "Hey Cliff, I love the story about San Diego Zoo. I still plan to meet up with you here soon." Well, I look forward to that, David, and yeah, can't wait for the opportunity. Niyama, what actions do you think are going to come out of our conversation today?
So to me, it's around the my motivation has shifted, right? So what's happened is that the aperture in which I can look at like where my next steps are has like it's just blown open really wide. And so there's components of this here where I can give you specific actions like, okay, I'm going to go make the post in. I'm going to go reach out to people to come in and be podcast facilitators. And I'm going to change like the language so that we're coming from a place where like the experience itself is amazing, and we're getting people who would do it for free, but don't have to. Like really looking for that and getting that level of like mission driven versus mercenary, the way I'm thinking about it. So that feels really good. There's the other actions for me is it's the world has opened up again. So like it's like just I'm like I might just hit record, whether it becomes into a podcast or not. I might just hit record. I was looking at my calendar. I was like, oh, I was supposed to reach out to all these people. My calendar is completely empty. I need to go make sure that I keep making sure that my calendar is always full. And then like just even being here, it's like well, the invitation came. It was a broad invitation. It just said you're live, and but like it doesn't take much to get on a call It doesn't take much to go create with someone. I can call someone up and be like, "What are you doing right now?" Great. Let's have a conversation. I'm here for you. I'm serving, whatever it is. Like I can do my magic with them. So I feel that I look at my calendar with all this white space in it, and I was like, and now I just see like names, and blocks coming in there. So yeah, there's a lot of actions, but who I am being is more unleashed. Who I am, and the even a reflection of like the sixth, like like you're the sixth person. I'm like this isn't hard for me. So like let me not pretend that it is. Like there are opportunities out there that are constantly available, and I'm choosing actively to like swipe, on a notification of life saying that it's here. And I just feel really activated again to just be like, oh, go play hard. And like, it's your game to play and let people know, similar to how you did with the San Diego Zoo. It's like, this is the game I'm playing. For those of you that feel aligned with it, come join me. And for those who don't, like, I'm the master of obscure sports from barbershop singing to beach handball. Like, we're okay. Like, but for those who this is for, I got you. I can play all day. So
Yeah,
that's what I got from this.
that's awesome. I love it. And there's one thing I just want to share with you. So, with these live streams, I've been doing these for approximately up to 90 minutes a day. Well, for the first 2 months, it was like I'm going to be here for 90 minutes no matter what. And it was only this week that I started saying, you know what, if I go more than 10 or 15 minutes without somebody joining me, I'll just go do something else and just let people know on the replay that go to this URL and there's a schedule when I start my next live stream. But I want
Yeah.
you to hear this. So you're the sixth. So when I say that you're the sixth person, you're the sixth person who has been following me for more than a decade, but we're just now having this level of conversation for the first time. That would not have happened because you're not subscribed to my podcast and you're not on my email list. And no matter how many emails I sent out or how many times I mentioned this opportunity on a podcast, you would have never come here because of that. And so it's one of the reasons why I'm doing these live streams like this. The second thing I want you to hear is that when I was emailing my list and I was actually letting people know, like went out of my way to tell people here, I've actually had about 35 or 40 amazing conversations almost at the
Okay.
depth of this.
Yeah.
And those, by the way, I've already released I think 13 or 14 of them in a podcast episode. I've got the rest of them queued up ready for me to edit and put some content in front of it so I can release them. But the most important thing I want to let you know also is that there have been 3 times I've sat here for 90 minutes. Not one person joined me. Not one. Not one matter of fact, not only did not one person join me, not one person even commented in the comment section on any of the platforms. Just me sitting here, no one. And you talk about, it's like there a train of thought. All of a sudden, it's like, oh my, Cliff, are you ruining your reputation? Are you going to demonstrate that you no longer have impact and influence? Gosh, if it were Pat Flynn, he'd have 5,000 people in his live stream, and people would be jumping left and right, and blah blah blah, and all these people know is like, and all this other stuff, and I'm like, and I just like, where that's hilarious. I remember that 8-track that was on a loop, but that's an old version of me. But I just still want to tell you that not everything you do is going to be greatness. There will be messiness. There will be times that are uncomfortable to the ego side of you. That ego persona, that guardian that's trying to protect you and your image and how you're perceived by others. It's like, it will shriek. It's like, what are we doing here? But I just want to tell you that if it weren't for my getting over that people pleasing, getting over my fear of how I'm perceived of others, you and I would have not had this conversation today.
Definitely.
And for me, it's worth sitting there looking in the thing is, here's what I will tell you. I do know for a fact that every time I've sat here for 90 minutes and done nothing, I know for a fact there are people who actually had the live stream on the entire time.
Mm,
And you want to know their perception of me? Their perception was equal to their level of consciousness.
mm, yep.
It's guaranteed, because I know for a fact J.R. Lawhorn, who has been here since the beginning of this live stream, by the way, he's the one who says Happy Wednesday, Cliff, and he's like, hey, I'm trying out the X platform, and he's like, the delay is shorter over here. So he's been here the entire time. But here's what I know about J.R. Lawhorn. His level of consciousness is very high. And not once has he sat there. He's listening to me in the background while he's doing work. He's a computer programmer. He's a developer of software. And so I know he's just got me on in the background. And he just came to my Free the Dream workshop about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So he just flew all the way to Cincinnati, or actually he drove all the way to Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky with his wife for a 2-day workshop. So I know for a fact what his level of consciousness is. And if he was there for those entire 90-minute things, he would be like, man, you know what I really appreciate about Cliff is just how committed he is.
That was going through my mind.
I really appreciate his devotion. I really devote his tenacity. I really appreciate this. Somebody who has a high level of consciousness will be there. That's how I will be perceived. Same stream, same different person. Man, that Cliff has completely lost everything. He can't even beg people to join him. Boy, he's lost it. How embarrassing for him. He should just go back and whatever, blah blah blah. But that's their level. So what I'm saying is, what I'm doing has nothing to do with how I will be perceived. The story that people will tell about who I am will be based upon their own level of consciousness. And the story I tell myself is the most important story I will ever hear. Not the story they tell, the story I tell myself. And I keep my level of consciousness high intentionally. It's not how, who am I to do that? No, this is who I am, and this is why I'm here. And I remind myself of that. And when that voice comes up, that little ego, fear, anxiety voice, I say, hey, I appreciate your input, but it's not necessary. And I didn't ask. And then thanks, but no thanks.
I'm really grateful. You said it a couple different times, but like it just dawned on me that the way that I see you is also a reflection of me, you know? And it's like that's hitting me. The first time you said it, I took it, I felt it the other way around, but I was oh, yeah. Like it was fun. I'm like, I couldn't even imagine not thinking the way you were thinking, I'm like, oh. got you. That's just me. I get to see me and him and the things that I love about me that I may not have been seeing. I haven't given myself a mirror in a long time.
Yeah.
You know, he's just living his life, but I'm like, oh, he's doing this and this and this and this, and it's like because I that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. That is hidden.
Niyama, I am so incredibly filled with gratitude that you joined me today. Thank you so much for this. It has been a gift, and I invite you to reach out to me anytime.
I absolutely will. I absolutely will. It's been the gift that I didn't know I've been desiring for. Clip This Hits, and thank you for creating the opportunity in the space. Like I'm recognized, it's the invitation is leadership, and I appreciate the way that you choose to lead in the world. It reminds me of someone I really respect as well.
Thank you so much. And real quick, David says, thanks, Cliff. I'm watching. You're awesome. And we will do this, my friend. So, David, I'm looking forward to that. All right, Niyama, thank
All
you.
right,
Many blessings. Talk to you soon.
until
And
soon. Be
yeah.
well.
And for everyone else, I'm shutting down the live stream. cliffravenscraft.com/join. There's a schedule of when I'll be live next. Feel free to join me. Make sure that you do show up within the first 5 to 10 minutes of either the start of the live stream or within 5 to 10 minutes of me finishing a conversation with somebody that I was chatting with. Until next time, I wish you all the best.